Lately here at gameranx, we've been looking back and replaying some games from a few years ago that just still blow us away visually. Now, graphics aren't everything, sure, but today in this video, they are. Games that still surprise us today with just how good they look. So let's get started off with number 10 and talk about Batman Arkham Knight. Now, I regret to inform you guys that Batman Arkham Knight released in 2015. Yes, it's kind of starting to age. It feels like that game just released, right? Like, is that just freaking me out? Is it just me? I don't know. Anyway, visually, Batman Arkham Knight stands the test of time. It is still incredibly richly detailed in a way that just makes it stack up pretty well, really, against modern stuff. They really went overkill on the detail. It's definitely more of their style. You know, every character is super muscly. Everything is covered in rain or grime. Every single suit, every single costume has tons of stitching and detail and belt buckles and stuff. And usually that type of design is a little bit harsh, but here I think it really works in the Arkham games' favor, specifically with Arkham Knight, with how everything is firing on all cylinders and everything is just so shiny and reflective, and it's always raining, and the draw distance is incredible on the city, the neon lights. Everything is working to really impress the player. And while, yes, of course, to this day, it might not be bristling like eye-watering 8K resolution with ray tracing or anything insane like that, it still looks damn good. I mean, look at it. You see it on screen here. I replayed this recently, and I replay it pretty often and bounce around between platforms, and it looks pretty damn good everywhere. Next, over at number 9, we have Battlefield 1. Now, Battlefield 1 may not be your favorite Battlefield game, sure, but it looks damn good. Specifically, the way the game opens, the way it introduces you to that no man's land battle scene. It's really dreadful, and the game's really dark, oppressive visuals really help sell that. Everything is covered in mud, everything is destroyed. The sky is filled with ominous clouds, flames burn down buildings as tanks trawl across the mud. You would think that a game where everything is basically dark brown and gross, the game would just not look that great, but man, is it a stunner. And it's not just the first level. It's all of the single player stuff, which I thought was actually pretty underrated, but also the multiplayer maps. From the detail on the buildings to the actual attention paid to the architecture, to some really impressive lighting and reflections, to just how bombed out buildings really look exploded. You can actually see detailed debris, shards of glass everywhere. It's all really convincing. The color palette of the game still manages to be beautiful. The level design, to me, maybe not from like a multiplayer standpoint for gameplay, but just design-wise visually, is absolutely incredible. And I still go back to Battlefield 1 way more than I'd expect. Partially for the visuals, yeah, but also for the fact that Battlefield 2042 isn't really doing it for us. Thankfully, Battlefield 1 ain't going anywhere. Despite releasing in 2016, it's looking damn good. Next, over at number 8, we have Rise of the Tomb Raider. The middle in this kind of trilogy of Tomb Raider games is really underrated in the looks department. I know we could have went for the easy stuff and talk about the more recent Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but Rise of the Tomb Raider has a lot of good moments. From all those incredibly convincing snow effects to really the opening of the game where Lara finds herself in a mountainous region of Syria with the sun coming down, with the desert heat and the dryness really feeling impressive, to the rays of sunlight reflecting across everything, the visual effect it does with the camera. It's really insane, especially if you're playing this thing on PC at like ultra realistic 4K on a decent graphics card. This thing can really cook. The environment and the lighting effects are great, but it also goes with the fact that this Lara is beautifully animated and detailed, from the cuts on her arm to the dirt on her pants to the way her hair blows in the wind. All of it is just so convincing. Say what you will about these modern Tomb Raider games, they are definitely showcases.
It's amazing.
Next, over at number 7, we have God of War, which released on PS4 April 2018. This thing is worth highlighting specifically because, you know, it's at the end of the PS4 life cycle, and it really squeezes the power out of the PS4 or PS4 Pro. Wherever you were playing, this thing was putting your console to work. The level of detail here, the world sizes, the way everything is seamlessly working together, at least to us, the viewer, the player, the camera never cuts, from cutscenes to character movement to everything happening, to the point where even when you pause the game, it's not really a camera cut. It does a lot of really impressive real-time stuff, coupled with just a ton of detail to, of course, like with Atreus running around beside you with beautiful animation, to, of course, the insane amount of detail on Kratos himself, down to like pores on his skin, the scraggliness of his beard, the gore, everything is working overtime. And if you've fired this up on PC more recently, maybe even with some goofy mods, you definitely know what's up. But when you take that impressive level of detail and you scale it down to the original PS4 version, it's still impressive no matter what.
On our journey, we will be attacked by all manner of creature. Close your heart to their desperation.
Next, over at number 6, we have Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, I know this one is a bit more recent. The console version released fall of 2018, but goddamn, look at this game. From the detailed city area to just the absolute wilderness that is completely dense and filled with life and movement, every inch of this game is super impressive. The characters look and move in a realistic manner. Granular small detail on the ground, on the streets, on the horses, in the shops, everything is there. And it still just holds up, interestingly enough, because this game hasn't been updated for the newer consoles. While this released right at the tail end of the previous generation, this game has no official full update to take advantage of PS5 or Xbox Series X, and it still looks incredible. It's almost like it doesn't need it. Now, that being said, it does definitely need it. We could use a frame rate boost for sure, but still, from a game still technically, if you're just looking at it on PS4 or Xbox, it's amazing. Not to mention, of course, it goes without saying, the PC version, they really put the work in, and it looks impressive too. Next, over at number 5, we have Far Cry 5, which released in 2018. Now, the Far Cry games have always looked very nice. I mean, it's called Far Cry because it runs off of Crytek's CryEngine, right? So duh, it's gonna be a looker. But even with Far Cry 5 running on the Dunia engine, which is a Ubisoft modded version of the CryEngine, it still looks really great. Far Cry 5 on a gameplay or story sense, you know, that's up for debate, but it's a looker. Think about it. I mean, it manages to have you in this like crazy detailed open world. It throws waves of enemies at you, sometimes creatures like bears. Stuff is always blowing up, and all the while the game is remaining stable. It also handled early mornings really well. Like the sun coming up in this game is really, really impressive. Montana was a great setting to show off this engine, I think. And you know, it might not be a tropical setting like previous games, but there is a ton of beauty in the United States, and it was cool to see them show it off so well, especially if you had it running on a great PC, like we are here. Like it looks downright realistic sometimes. Next, over at number 4, we have Assassin's Creed Origins from 2017. This, in my personal opinion, is the best of this like newer trilogy of big open RPG Assassin's Creed games. Graphically, it's intense, but something about the visual design just also is really appealing. I think it's a toss-up between Assassin's Creed Unity and Assassin's Creed Origins for just really, really great visuals, just tons of cool details. With Assassin's Creed Origins, it really wins out for some intense draw distances and tons of detail over sand dunes, riverfronts with bustling NPCs, boats in the river, animals nearby, all of it accessed from a bird's eye view with the touch of a fingertip. That's really, really impressive to see running. Now, we know Assassin's Creed Valhalla has kind of pushed this design even further, but Assassin's Creed Origins in the desert setting with like the sunlight beaming down and the beautiful blue of the river, the green of the reeds, everything about it just really pops. It's super crisp and holds up today. Next, over at number 3, we have Until Dawn, released in 2015. This PlayStation 4 game still looks damn good, specifically thanks to its great use of light and shadow. The darks in this game are truly dark and incredibly spooky, and it really just leads to a good visual design, but thankfully with the graphics to back it up. While The Quarry, their newest game, has definitely really amped it up in terms of facial animation for the time, and still really, if you're looking at it, the characters look pretty damn convincing. The way they talk, the way they emote, the fact that some of them are played by real world actors and it actually looks like them is impressive as hell. It's also just a great game, and it's fun to revisit. We replay it all the time, and that's how we kind of notice that the graphics are still working for us now. Next, down at number 2, we're gonna go back a little further with Ryse Son of Rome. Now, another Crytek game. This is gonna, of course, have some pedigree of visual kick-assery behind it, and yeah, for real. Despite this thing releasing in 2013 as a launch window game for the original Xbox One, this game looks damn good. And then they released it on PC a little while later, and it is stunning. For this game, they definitely kept it kind of simple gameplay-wise. They almost kind of maybe prioritized visuals over actual gameplay. But I mean, now looking at it in 2022, it seems like that aspect of it at least paid off, because like the character details, the crispness of everything, the close-up camera angles, all of it is pretty impressive, and I think properly aged. Like, it does not look like a 2013 game by any means, if you ask me. Maybe I'm going crazy, maybe it's just me, but I know there's some people out there, I've seen you online, some people that really vouch for this weird game, and count me as one of them. Now, down to number 1, we have Uncharted 4. Yeah, I mean, like, what more can we say about Uncharted 4? This game looks damn incredible. It released in 2016 and is another game that really pushed the hell out of the PS4. Obviously, it comes with tons of detail, specifically with Nate Drake himself, his clothing, the way it moves, the way he moves, the way dirt gets on him, water, mud, anything. Previous games had really mastered that kind of stuff, but here, I think it's just the amount of scenery change-ups, the amount of completely different environments you are in, different countries, different weather types, all of it looks absolutely mind-blowing, still to this day. Couple that with the fact that the game has so much destruction going on, buildings falling down, debris flying everywhere, super fast car chases, firing all cylinders with particle effects, details, physics, all of it looks nuts. This is another one worth replaying, like, for the graphics alone. You know, sometimes the story feels a little overly long, but visually, man, it holds the hell up, and we're looking forward to seeing what PC modders do with this one. But that's really it, guys. We just wanted to talk about 10 games that still blow us away visually. Obviously, we clearly stuck to a specific time period. We could have went back further, but we wanted to talk about a brief window in time from a few years ago. So there are other games that came out in that time, so we want to hear from you in the comments what you think. If you got your own top 5, definitely hit us up. Now, if you enjoyed this video, clicking the like button's all you gotta do. It really helps us out. We're just talking games here. But it's also worth saying, if you're new, consider subscribing, because we put out videos every single day. But either way, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.